Have you ever walked into a place and instantly felt that strange, heavy pull in your spirit, an urge to leave, even when nothing seemed wrong? It wasn't the lights, the noise, or the people. It was something deeper, an unseen frequency your soul could sense long before your mind could explain it. Chosen one, that's not paranoia or coincidence. That's discernment, that's divine sensitivity. You feel what others don't, because your spirit operates on a higher wavelength, one that instinctively recognizes when something isn't aligned with God's light. You've probably noticed it before: the places that look perfectly fine to everyone else, but leave you restless, uneasy, almost spiritually suffocated. While others laugh or carry on without a thought, you're quietly aware of an invisible tension, a vibration that just doesn't belong. That's your soul protecting you. You were never meant to blend into every atmosphere or absorb every energy. You were set apart, spiritually wired to feel what heaven feels and to move accordingly. This message isn't just about intuition, it's about revelation, because the truth is, there are specific places in this world that chosen ones like you avoid for a reason. Your discomfort isn't random, it's divine guidance. God built this sensitivity into your spirit as a form of protection, a silent language between you and heaven itself. So before we dive into these 6 powerful places that your spirit resists, pause for a moment. Like this video as your declaration of spiritual awareness. Subscribe to this channel and stand with this growing community of awakened believers, those who are learning to listen to their inner compass instead of silencing it. And if you feel that divine pull already stirring within you, comment 777 below. That number isn't just symbolic, it's a spiritual signal of divine alignment, a confirmation that you're ready to receive truth at a deeper level. To every soul who supported this mission through your likes, comments, prayers, and super thanks, thank you from the depths of my heart. You are not just viewers, you are co-carriers of this divine message, helping it reach those who need it most, exactly when they need it. Now, take a breath and ask yourself, why do certain places feel wrong to you when others feel nothing at all? Could it be that your spirit is trying to warn you, or perhaps guide you toward your next awakening? Let's find out together. God's chosen ones. These 6 places feel wrong. For a reason, here's why you avoid them. For you, one of God's chosen ones, walking into a shopping mall during Black Friday feels less like an opportunity and more like a spiritual battlefield. While others rush toward discounts, your supernatural perception senses something invisible yet heavy, a density that presses upon your soul. The air feels charged, frantic, a collective vibration of anxiety and greed intertwined. You can almost hear it beneath the music and advertisements, the pulse of fear, the energy of lack. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Matthew 6:21. In that moment, you realize what most cannot. The battle in that space is not for material goods, but for human attention, for sacred energy itself. You might notice how your body reacts first. A sudden tightening in your chest, your heartbeat quickening as though your spirit is warning you to step back. That isn't weakness, it's divine sensitivity. The body, being the instrument of the spirit, begins to reject what the soul cannot harmonize with. It is the law of resonance, one known both to mystics and physicists. When frequencies clash, distortion occurs. So, while others see only a crowd, you perceive an energetic storm. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. As you stand there, watching the swirl of chaos, people shoving carts, arguing, and grabbing things they don't even need, you begin to understand the architecture of spiritual illusion. This is how the world distracts souls, by keeping them hungry for what fades. You can feel the system's frequency pulling people into a trance, where self-worth is measured by possession. Have you noticed how easily joy can vanish the moment a sale ends, or how quickly peace disappears once the rush subsides? An Italian painter, Lorenzo Fabbri, once said in an interview about his quiet studio life, "Silence is the only luxury that never goes out of style." His words hold truth for you too. For the chosen, simplicity isn't deprivation, it's liberation. You, guided by your divine gift, intuitively understand that peace costs nothing but is worth everything. So while others chase what's cheap, you chase what's eternal. You know the quiet satisfaction of owning less, yet feeling light, wearing the same shirt for years, yet feeling free. This is where your path diverges. Better is a little with righteousness than much gain with injustice. Proverbs 16:8. You realize that spirituality isn't about renouncing the world, it's about discerning its vibration. True abundance isn't in having more, it's in needing less. It's in walking through the noise and remaining centered, in choosing stillness when the crowd screams more. Have you felt that strange peace when you step outside the chaos, breathe deeply, and sense heaven's stillness filling the air around you? That's your soul realigning to its divine frequency. But not everyone perceives this. The same energy that awakens you repels those who are asleep. Like Jesus overturning the tables of the money changers in the temple, Matthew 21:12-13, your very presence in places of spiritual dissonance disrupts false worship. Where others see profit, you see idolatry of the temporary. And while some may mock your quiet detachment, heaven records it as wisdom. In one corner of the mall, a marketing slogan reads, "Don't miss out," but your soul whispers the opposite, "You are missing nothing." You begin to see how modern temples of consumption mirror Babel's tower, ambitious, loud, but spiritually hollow. You notice how artificial light replaces sunlight, how synthetic fragrance drowns out the smell of life itself. The contrast isn't just external, it's cosmic. You cannot serve both God and money, Matthew 6:24. So you leave, not out of disdain, but out of alignment. The world will call it avoidance, heaven calls it discernment. You walk out quietly, carrying something far greater than a shopping bag piece. In that still moment outside the sliding glass doors, your spirit exhales. The noise fades, and you realize once again that your resistance was never rejection, it was protection. And that's the lesson you were meant to embody. Not all noise is music, not all gatherings are communion, not all lights illuminate, some blind. The chosen one doesn't avoid such places out of pride, but because their divine frequency no longer resonates with artificial energy. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. You carry within you the vibration of peace that the world cannot buy, and that is why chaos will never feel like home. For you, one of God's chosen ones, hospitals are not just buildings, they are crossroads where heaven and earth meet, where souls enter and depart, and where invisible currents of emotion flood every corner. Your supernatural perception does not see only white walls or sterile halls. It senses what lingers in the air, echoes of suffering, whispered prayers, unspoken goodbyes. You walk through the door and immediately feel the weight of thousands of stories pressing against your spirit. It's not your imagination, it's the divine sensitivity entrusted to you as part of your sacred gift. As Scripture says, He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. Yet you know that before healing begins, pain cries out. When you step into such places without necessity, the body starts to speak on behalf of the soul. The pressure in your chest, the sudden wave of fatigue, the ache behind your eyes, all are signals that you are absorbing frequencies not your own. The energy of grief and anxiety resonates like a low hum beneath the fluorescent lights, and your spirit, tuned to the higher harmonics of heaven, detects it instantly. It's as if the walls themselves hold memories, each sigh, each final breath, each miracle of revival, all stored within a structure vibrating between sorrow and hope. And perhaps that is why your steps slow, your breath deepens, your heart feels heavier, because you are walking through a living archive of human emotion. For the spirit of man is the lamp of the Lord, searching all his innermost parts. Proverbs 20:27. Your lamp burns bright, but in dense spaces it flickers, straining to stay lit. In physics, there's a phenomenon called quantum resonance, where particles align or clash depending on their frequency. The same principle governs your spiritual experience. When you walk into a hospital, your energy meets waves of despair and uncertainty. The resonance turns discordant, draining your life force. The chosen one, however, learns not to curse the dissonance, but to understand it. The contrast itself is revelation, that the soul is meant to heal, not to dwell in energies that don't align with its divine architecture. Your faith has made you well. Go in peace. Luke 8:48. This doesn't mean you reject medicine or science. Quite the opposite, you honor them as gifts of divine intelligence. Yet, you also know that true healing cannot exist in a vacuum of faith. You understand that body, mind, and soul operate like an intricate architectural system, each supporting the other through balance, coherence, and love. In you lives the knowing that a sterile cure without spiritual warmth leaves half the work undone. There is medicine for the body, but there must also be mercy for the soul. A joyful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. Proverbs 17:22. And so, when you must enter these halls, you do not come empty-handed. You bring prayer, intention, and light. You whisper silent blessings over those who suffer, not to absorb their pain, but to offer your frequency as harmony amidst discord. You guard your energy as a sacred temple, understanding that compassion does not mean contagion. Have you ever noticed how one smile or gentle word in such a place can shift the entire atmosphere? That's divine resonance working through you, the same force that made Peter's shadow heal the sick. Acts 5:15. Every step you take within such walls becomes a silent act of worship, an invisible prayer that reverberates across dimensions. There was once a nurse named Clara, an ordinary woman who, after surviving her own illness, returned to the hospital each week to read psalms softly to those who had no family. She didn't have degrees in theology or psychology, but patients said her presence alone calmed their spirits. When asked why she did it, she said, "Because peace is the medicine they don't prescribe." Her story mirrors yours. The chosen one's calling is not to escape the world, but to heal it through presence, not participation in its pain. And this is perhaps the most profound truth of all. Sometimes the strongest healer is not the one who speaks, but the one who silently keeps the flame of compassion alive amid suffering. You understand that hospitals are thresholds, portals of transition. Like ancient priests who purified the temple before worship, you cleanse your aura before and after stepping inside, maintaining alignment between body, mind, and soul. This is not fear, it is spiritual hygiene. And when your heart urges you to step outside, breathe sunlight, or pray in the quiet of your room, it isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Because, in protecting your peace, you preserve your ability to serve. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. For the chosen, rest is not laziness, it's restoration. You carry the light of peace that such environments often lack, and when you walk away, the energy shifts, if only slightly. That is your mission, to leave every place lighter than you found it. Your avoidance of these spaces is not rejection of humanity, it's an act of energetic self-love, a protection of your divine equilibrium. You understand that healing does not mean carrying every wound, but choosing to remain whole enough to serve. For you, health isn't merely absence of illness, it is the harmony of heaven reflected in flesh. And when you step back into the sunlight, your soul whispers the same truth it always knew. Light was never meant to dwell forever in the corridors of sorrow. It was meant to guide others through them. For you, one of God's chosen ones, Not every temple vibrates with heaven's breath. There are places built in the name of the divine that no longer carry his presence, structures still standing in marble and gold, yet hollow inside. You, with your supernatural perception, can feel this the moment you cross the threshold. The air shifts, the spirit contracts, and something within you whispers, "This place once burned with light, but now the flame has gone out." And, as it is written, "These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me." Matthew 15:8. To most, a temple is sacred by name alone. But you, chosen soul, are guided not by ceremony, but by vibration. You don't measure holiness by chants or incense. You feel it in the resonance of truth that either expands your heart or constricts it. There are churches where the choir sings loudly but heaven is silent, and sanctuaries where the words of prayer echo yet reach no higher than the ceiling. Do you not know that you are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you? 1 Corinthians 3:16. This truth has become your compass. You seek God not through walls, but through alignment. When you enter such a place and sense its emptiness, your soul recoils not out of arrogance, but from energetic incompatibility. The vibration of your divine gift can no longer harmonize with the frequency of spiritual stagnation. Imagine a crystal placed among stones. It doesn't hate them, but its light reveals the difference. You feel that same tension when surrounded by lifeless rituals, when devotion has turned to theater. The sacred cannot perform, it simply is. Yet, how many altars today exist more for applause than for prayer? This is the tragedy the prophets once warned of: faith replaced by repetition, love replaced by control, having the form of godliness but denying its power. 2 Timothy 3-5. You walk into such places and your body responds first. A heaviness in the chest, an ache in the solar plexus, a quiet sorrow behind the eyes. That's not discomfort, it's discernment. The Holy Spirit within you recognizes what's missing, as if the divine frequency that should hum through the space has fallen silent. It is spiritual physics. When energy no longer flows, stagnation breeds distortion. In psychology, there's a term called cognitive dissonance, the unease of holding two opposing truths. You feel its spiritual equivalent when standing in temples where words preach love, but energy radiates judgment. That internal tension is your soul's alarm, signaling, this is not your altar. You may hear eloquent sermons and polished choirs, yet something deeper inside you whispers, where is the compassion that heals? Where is the truth that frees? You remember how Jesus, upon entering the temple, overturned the tables of the money changers, crying, "My Father's house shall be called a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of thieves." Matthew 21:13. That moment wasn't rebellion, it was restoration. You feel a trace of that same fire when you witness faith turned into vanity. Yet you know that anger isn't your tool, clarity is. Like a tuning fork, you quietly vibrate with authenticity, and the false notes of pretense become unbearable to your spirit. Years ago, a carpenter named Elias from a small coastal town in Spain built a tiny chapel with his bare hands after losing his wife. He never sought followers, never accepted donations. Locals say that when people prayed there, they felt a peace unlike any other. One traveler, a young man who had long abandoned faith, visited and wrote in his journal, "For the first time in years, I didn't pray to God, I prayed with him." Elias had unknowingly built a living temple, not from stone, but from sincerity. His quiet act revealed what many grand cathedrals forget. Presence matters more than presentation. You've likely felt this in your own journey, the subtle difference between performance and presence. One space leaves you drained, the other fills you with inexplicable light. Why does your soul feel freer under a tree than inside a monument? Because creation itself is the first cathedral, its ceiling the sky, its altar the earth. Heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool. What kind of house will you build for me? Acts 7:49. The whisper of leaves, the flow of rivers, these are the hymns that never lose their sincerity. In the realm of sacred geometry, architects once believed that perfect symmetry created divine resonance, that angles and echoes could summon God's presence. But the truth is more profound. God responds not to architecture, but to authenticity. The greatest temple is the human heart vibrating in coherence with love. You've learned this through experience, moments when prayer beneath the open sky felt more powerful than ritual beneath chandeliers. The divine doesn't demand formality, it desires frequency. There's a shadow side too, the false shepherds and self-proclaimed prophets who build temples not for worship but for ego. They speak of grace but seek gain, wielding scripture as currency. Their consequence is not always immediate, but inevitable. Their voices grow loud as their spirits grow hollow. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, hypocrites! You are like whitewashed tombs, which outwardly appear beautiful, but inside are full of dead men's bones. Matthew 23:27. This warning isn't meant for condemnation, but awakening so that the chosen may discern truth amid illusion. And what about you? Have you noticed how your spirit instinctively knows when it is welcome? That subtle expansion in your chest when truth fills the air. That moment when you walk into a humble place and tears rise for no reason, as if the divine itself had brushed your soul. That's how you know. The sacred does not perform, it permeates. So, when you walk away from lifeless temples, it is not rejection, it is remembrance. You carry the living temple within you. In silence, in sincerity, in every act of love you offer to another, heaven resides. You've learned that true spirituality doesn't need an audience, it needs alignment. And as you continue your path, you become a walking sanctuary, your words prayer, your kindness altar, your presence incense. For you have understood what few dare to accept. God is not confined to walls, He dwells in vibration. Where there is humility, He abides. Where there is truth, He breathes. The lesson for every awakened soul is simple yet sacred. Do not fear leaving empty temples behind. Carry the flame within you instead. And as you move through the world, light others not through preaching, but by presence. One spark of authenticity ignites more faith than 1,000 rituals without love. For you, one of God's chosen ones, certain places do not just exist, they breathe. They hold stories, vibrations, and residues of moments long gone, but not forgotten. To others, they may appear as ordinary houses, schools, or cities. But to you, whose supernatural perception acts like a finely tuned spiritual instrument, these spaces hum with invisible frequencies. You walk through the threshold, and before your mind can name it, your soul remembers. The atmosphere itself carries the weight of what once happened there, as if the walls themselves still whisper. The stones will cry out, says Luke 19:40, and sometimes they do. There are houses where your laughter once echoed, now haunted by silence. Streets where your heart once ran wild with love, now pulsing with memories that sting. You feel this contraction deep within, the way your breath shortens, the way your body subtly pulls away. It's not superstition, it's resonance. Physics calls it vibrational memory, where energy never disappears but transforms. Spiritually, it is the same emotions, trauma, and pain linger as energetic imprints. You, the chosen one, feel these ripples because your soul functions like a tuning fork of heaven. It vibrates with truth and quivers before distortion. Some places carry sorrow not just from your past, but from generations. You may step into a family home and feel grief that isn't yours, yet somehow it lives in your blood. As Exodus 20:5 reminds, the iniquities of the fathers are visited upon the children to the 3rd and 4th generation. This doesn't mean you are cursed, it means you are aware. You stand as the bridge, the restorer, the one chosen to end patterns that others only repeat. Every chosen one carries not only personal memories, but ancestral echoes, unfinished prayers, suppressed cries, forgotten vows. That's why when you revisit these places, your soul trembles. It recognizes that your bloodline once suffered here, and perhaps you are the first to bring peace to it. A psychologist might call this cellular memory, where the body stores the vibration of emotion. A physicist might describe it as entanglement, the unseen link between what was and what is. But you know it as something deeper, the invisible architecture of the soul. You walk through the corridors of your past and feel the walls vibrating like a ghostly chorus, each voice singing a different note of unfinished harmony. How many times have you entered a place and felt the presence of who you used to be, standing silently beside you? How many times has your body remembered what your mind long tried to forget? And yet, you also carry the divine power to transform those frequencies. Like Christ entering the house of mourning and saying, "The girl is not dead but asleep," Mark 5:39, you can awaken light in dark places. Sometimes you pray quietly, sending peace into the walls, not to dwell there again, but to release it from captivity. But you also know that not every battle requires revisiting the battlefield. There is sacred wisdom in distance. Not all healing demands a return. Some healing asks for release. The body might still ache, but the spirit whispers, "It is finished." John 19:30. You've learned that some memories, once revisited, only reopen wounds that were meant to scar over. The chosen one understands that true healing is not found by digging through ashes, but by letting the fire become light. Like a forest that burns to renew the soil, your pain has already fertilized your growth. You no longer need to dwell where you once bled. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Isaiah 43:18-19. This is not avoidance, it is ascension. A woman named Sophia once told her story in a quiet prayer group. After surviving years of abuse in her childhood home, she returned decades later to find it abandoned. Standing before its door, she realized she no longer needed to enter. Instead, she whispered a prayer, laid a white rose on the porch, and walked away smiling. "Forgiveness," she said, "is not going back. It's letting the house of pain stand empty." Her story echoes yours, understanding that peace sometimes blooms in absence, not return. When you feel that urge to revisit the old wounds, remember the soul has a divine architecture, a rhythm that knows when to stay and when to move. In acoustics, there's a concept called reverberation, when sound continues to echo after the source stops. Old energies behave the same way. They fade only when new harmonies fill the space. Your mission isn't to silence the echo, but to replace it with music from your present self. The chosen one doesn't deny the past, they transmute it. That is why you no longer linger in places of sorrow. You honor them, but you no longer belong to them. You understand that avoiding such places is not fear, it's maturity. It's your divine system recalibrating toward light. You've fought the wars that mattered. You've buried the ghosts that needed rest. Now, your path leads to gentler grounds, to gardens, to laughter, to sunlight that doesn't hurt. Because the chosen soul doesn't keep proving its wounds, it lives as proof that healing is real. And in that moment, when you look back at the shadows of where you once were, gratitude replaces grief. You whisper softly to yourself, "I made it." That whisper becomes prayer, that prayer becomes liberation. You no longer seek closure from the world, because God has already closed the chapter within you. He makes all things new. Revelation 21:5. Your freedom is not in returning to the ruins, it is in walking beyond them. That is the quiet glory of the chosen, not to revisit the battlefield, but to build gardens where the war once raged. For you, one of God's chosen ones, there are places that may seem perfect, yet your soul knows otherwise. Everything appears pristine. The house is bright, the air scented with flowers, laughter echoes in the distance. But suddenly, that subtle tightening in your chest, that shift in your breath, that invisible chill on your skin, your supernatural perception begins to speak. To the unawakened, it's nothing. But to you, it's everything. Energy never lies. What looks holy to the eye may hide heaviness in the unseen. And as it is written, "For nothing is hidden that will not be disclosed, nor is anything secret that will not become known and come to light. Luke 8:17. You might step into a place where everything sparkles, yet something deep inside begins to withdraw. It's not fear, it's discernment. Your divine gift is not only to sense light, but to recognize where it has faded. That strange discomfort isn't coincidence, it's the soul warning, this energy is not yours. In such moments, your spirit becomes like a compass needle, trembling before magnetic distortion. It feels the misalignment long before the eyes perceive it. Sometimes it's the residue of sorrow, a grief left unresolved, or the imprint of pride and deceit that once lived there. Other times, it's a spiritual coldness, an absence of divine warmth. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. 2 Corinthians 3:17. And when freedom is gone, your body knows before your mind does. There's a science to this mystery too. Physicists describe something called morphic resonance, the phenomenon where patterns of energy repeat themselves in space and memory. The walls, the furniture, the very air hold vibrations of human experience. When you walk into such a place, your spirit resonates like an antenna, tuning into emotional frequencies that others ignore. Have you ever entered a room and felt sadness with no visible cause? Have you ever smiled politely while your inner being whispered, "Leave"? That is spiritual intelligence, your soul protecting its alignment. The Bible tells how David, before becoming king, would play his harp in Saul's palace to calm the darkness that tormented the ruler's heart. 1 Samuel 16:23. Yet, when Saul's envy grew, the same palace became suffocating, and David fled into the wilderness. His escape wasn't cowardice, it was preservation. You share that same wisdom. You know when to stay and when to go. Not all discomfort is meant to be endured. Some is meant to be understood as a sign. You walk away quietly, not out of judgment, but because peace is sacred territory. Once, an Italian painter named Lorenzo d'Amore shared that before beginning each mural, he would stand in silence and listen to the walls. Some walls, he said, refuse color. He wasn't speaking metaphorically. He meant that certain spaces rejected his art, as if the stones themselves carried unresolved grief. When that happens, he added, I bless the wall and leave. His ritual echoes yours. You too bless what cannot hold light and move on, because true peace never demands your exhaustion. Nature mirrors this law perfectly. Birds migrate from places where the air grows too thin. Flowers close their petals when the night grows too cold. Likewise, your spirit withdraws from what lacks divine warmth. The chosen one is not made to live amid frequencies that suffocate truth. Have you noticed how you breathe differently in certain homes, how your thoughts grow restless in certain rooms? That's not paranoia, it's presence recognizing absence. There are also places where darkness disguises itself as charm. The story of Judas serves as reminder. His kiss seemed loving, but its energy carried betrayal. Luke 22:48. In the same way, some spaces or people may appear kind, but radiate hidden unrest. The chosen one, through their spiritual discernment, senses this duality. And while the world might label such awareness as oversensitivity, heaven calls it guardianship. Your sensitivity is not weakness, it's spiritual armor. When you encounter an atmosphere that feels wrong, you don't need to rationalize it. You simply honor your intuition. Do not grieve the Holy Spirit of God, by whom you were sealed for the day of redemption. Ephesians 4:30. Your peace is a covenant not to be negotiated for politeness. You might leave a luxurious home, a friend's gathering, or a workplace without explanation, and that's okay. In spiritual physics, harmony always precedes healing, and discord always drains. By walking away, you preserve your vibration and your calling. Once, I met a woman named Miriam who rented a beautiful apartment by the sea. From the first night, she couldn't sleep. She felt an inexplicable sadness. Later, she learned that the previous tenant had taken her life there. Instead of fearing the space, Miriam prayed, burned incense, sang psalms, and after 3 days moved out peacefully. "I realized," she said, "my light doesn't belong in every room. Sometimes leaving is the prayer." Her story mirrors the truth all chosen ones know. Discernment saves energy that love can later use. As you evolve, this perception sharpens. You become sensitive not only to places, but to conversations, intentions, and environments. And the lesson deepens. You are not called to endure every vibration. You are called to elevate it, or when it resists, to withdraw in peace. Shake the dust off your feet when you leave that home or town. Matthew 10:14. Christ himself gave that instruction not as rejection, but as release. Sometimes people misjudge your silence, thinking you're distant or proud, but you're neither. You are discerning. You have learned that the light inside you is sacred architecture. It must not be exposed to structures that reject its design. True power is not found in confrontation, but in coherence. You know that every soul has its own frequency, and not all frequencies harmonize. You are learning to live like sound, resonating where welcomed, fading where resisted. And when you leave such spaces, do you notice the relief, the breath that returns, the heart that loosens? That's your spirit realigning with truth. The chosen ones don't chase comfort, they choose clarity. You understand that not every beautiful place holds peace. Sometimes the most radiant room can still echo emptiness. You carry this wisdom now. To feel deeply is a divine privilege, not a curse. Your supernatural perception protects you from unseen decay. Trust it. Walk away when the light dims, and as you go, bless the space silently, leaving behind a trace of grace where unease once dwelled. For your presence is not meant to argue with darkness, it is meant to remind it that light still exists. For you, one of God's chosen ones, the noise of the world doesn't thrill, it drains. Crowds pulse like thunder, lights flash like confusion, and though everyone around seems alive with excitement, something within you quietly contracts. Your supernatural perception reads more than what eyes can see or ears can hear. It decodes energy. To others, it's a concert, a festival, a celebration. But to you, it often feels like a storm without rain, a symphony without soul. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Yet in places where stillness cannot exist, your spirit feels displaced, as though heaven's frequency has been drowned out by the static of human noise. You've likely felt this countless times. You walk into a nightclub filled with flashing lights, or a crowded stadium roaring with adrenaline, and at first you try to blend in. But soon your energy begins to fragment. The laughter feels forced, the movements robotic, the conversations hollow. The music vibrates not through joy but through emptiness, each beat reverberating through your chest like an echo of longing. It's not judgment, it's resonance. Your divine gift makes you sensitive to the hidden architecture of sound and spirit. What others call excitement, you perceive as energetic distortion frequencies colliding chaotically without harmony. Physics calls this resonant interference when multiple waves overlap, cancelling out each other's rhythm. Spiritually, it's the same. In spaces where intention is lost, vibration becomes noise. You can feel it pressing against your temples, the nervous system tightening as if overloaded by invisible static. Have you ever wondered why peace feels impossible in certain environments, or why your mind, once calm, suddenly races amid flashing lights? That's not your imagination, it's the soul trying to breathe through spiritual pollution. The Bible speaks of this in subtle ways. When Elijah sought God, he didn't find him in the wind, or the earthquake, or the fire, but in the gentle whisper, 1 Kings 19:11-12. That whisper is what you live for. And in chaotic places, that whisper is lost. The chosen ones, like Elijah, retreat to silence, not out of fear, but to realign with the frequency of heaven. The crowd may sing loudly, but your spirit listens for a deeper sound, the sound of truth. There was once a woman named Marielle, a jazz singer from New Orleans, who shared her story at a retreat. She said that during her years performing in packed bars, people would dance wildly, but she always sensed an emptiness in their movements. "They weren't dancing with joy," she said softly. "They were trying to forget." After a near-death experience, she left the stage, moved to the countryside, and began teaching music therapy to children. "I realized sound can heal or harm depending on the spirit behind it. Her words carry the essence of your journey. You too are called to hear beyond sound, to distinguish harmony from chaos, authenticity from illusion. You may find the same truth echoed in nature. When a river floods, it roars loudly, carrying mud and debris, but when it returns to its course, its sound becomes music. Similarly, your spirit thrives where energy flows cleanly, where love, not noise, fills the air. The wild chaos of certain places doesn't make you weak. It simply proves how fine-tuned your spirit has become. Like an instrument built for divine symphonies, your energy cannot resonate with distortion. For God is not the author of confusion, but of peace. 1 Corinthians 14:33. Yet, this sensitivity can be both gift and challenge. You might wonder, why can't I enjoy what others do? Why does noise feel like suffocation instead of celebration? The answer lies in your mission. You weren't designed for shallow vibrations. You were designed for depth. Your frequency aligns with truth, with beauty that breathes, with conversations that feed souls. In chaos, your light dims, not because it's weak, but because it refuses to compete with illusion. There's an ancient story of Jesus cleansing the temple, Matthew 21:12-13. He overturned tables and cast out those who sold within sacred walls, saying, "My Father's house shall be called a house of prayer." This act wasn't anger, it was purification. Likewise, when you withdraw from chaotic spaces, you are cleansing your own inner temple. You are declaring, "My spirit was built for peace." It's not that you despise the world, it's that your inner frequency can no longer dwell in places where meaning has been lost. A psychologist once described overstimulation as cognitive saturation, a state where the brain can no longer process input, leading to emotional fatigue. For the chosen, this occurs not just mentally but spiritually. The soul absorbs too many vibrations, joy, pain, desire, fear, until it aches. The remedy is not more noise, but sacred silence. It's why you crave empty beaches at dawn, quiet cafes, moonlit walks, or listening to Gregorian chants that calm your nervous system with their harmonic resonance. But let's not ignore the opposite force. There are those who thrive in such chaos, souls who feed on distraction because stillness would confront them with emptiness. Like King Herod, who surrounded himself with feasts and noise to drown out guilt, Mark 6:17-26, they build kingdoms of stimulation to escape reflection. The consequence is spiritual decay, the slow erosion of clarity under constant noise. You, however, were chosen to be different. You are the still point in the whirlwind, the voice that whispers truth in a room that shouts. And so, you've learned the sacred art of departure. When your body tenses and your energy withdraws, you no longer fight it. You smile gently, bless the space, and leave. That is not avoidance, it's mastery. The shepherd doesn't linger in a field that's already burned. He leads his flock toward new pastures. You are that shepherd of your own energy. Your soul's architecture is built for light, not noise, for creation, not confusion. You may not realize it, but your very presence transforms a room. Sometimes you enter a chaotic space and, for a brief moment, the noise seems to soften, as if the environment recognizes something holy. That's your frequency harmonizing the field. But when it becomes too dense to restore, you're guided to withdraw not in defeat, but in obedience to your higher design. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Matthew 5-8. You preserve your purity by honoring your limits. The world today glorifies noise as proof of life, but you've learned a deeper truth. Movement isn't always progress, and sound isn't always music. The chosen ones don't fear silence, they worship through it. You understand now that stillness is not emptiness, it is communion. Every time you choose quiet over chaos, peace over performance, you reclaim your divine rhythm. So, when you find yourself in a place where the energy feels suffocating, remember, you are not fragile, you are finely tuned. Your soul was not made to echo confusion, but to carry the harmony of heaven. And as you walk away from the noise, the world may call it isolation, but heaven calls it alignment. For you, the one whom heaven has marked with a higher sensitivity, feeling energy isn't a coincidence. It's a divine science written into your very soul. You don't just walk through the world, you read it. You sense the unseen architecture of emotions in a room, the shift in atmosphere when someone hides pain behind a smile, the quiet trembling of creation itself. What others call intuition is your supernatural perception, the sacred technology through which God communicates with his chosen ones. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. Matthew 11:15. This hearing isn't about sound, it's about vibration. Your spirit has learned to detect the language of heaven hidden beneath the noise of earth. Many have wondered why you feel drained in certain places, heavy near certain people, or suddenly comforted in silence. This isn't hypersensitivity, it's calibration. Just as physicists speak of resonance frequency, where two systems vibrate in harmony, your soul too resonates with divine truth and dissonates with deception. You are a finely tuned instrument of creation. The Spirit himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's children. Romans 8:16. That testimony is not in words, it's in frequency. When something feels off, your divine radar signals misalignment. You might recall entering a crowded room where everyone laughed, yet a quiet sadness crawled under your skin, or sitting with someone whose words were kind, but whose energy whispered dishonesty. The body stiffens, the breath shortens, the heart beats irregularly. These are not coincidences, they are divine diagnostics. Your nervous system, in its sacred design, functions like an antenna connected to the vibrational field of truth itself. In neuropsychology, this is called mirror neuron resonance, where your body mirrors the emotions of others. But for the chosen, it's far more, it's empathy anointed by spirit. You don't just mirror pain, you decode it. An artist named Aurelia Street James once described this experience in her diary. I feel colors before I see them, people before they speak, pain before it's confessed. She wasn't mad, she was attuned. Many saints described the same sensitivity. Street. Francis of Assisi wept with trees and spoke to birds not out of madness, but because he recognized that all creation hums with the voice of the Creator. For the creation waits in eager expectation for the children of God to be revealed. Romans 8:19. When your heart stirs in certain places, that is the universe whispering recognition, its vibration acknowledging yours. Yet, such perception comes with weight. To sense darkness in a smiling face or sadness in laughter is not easy. The chosen often ask, why do I feel too much? Why can't I just be normal? Why can't I ignore what others seem blind to? These questions echo through the ages. Jeremiah cried, "Oh, that my head were a spring of water, and my eyes a fountain of tears, for I would weep day and night for the slain of my people." Jeremiah 9:1. Sensitivity has always been the burden of prophets and poets. You carry that same inheritance. And yet, with divine awareness comes divine responsibility. Once you understand that energy is language, discernment becomes your sacred art. It's no longer about reacting, but about transforming. In quantum terms, you shift from being an absorber of vibration to a transmitter of light. Wherever you go, you either harmonize chaos or withdraw to preserve holiness. This is why Jesus often retreated to quiet mountains, Luke 5:16. His energy was a beacon, and silence was his recharge. You are called to do the same, to guard your frequency as a temple of divine resonance. A few years ago, I met a young nurse named Elijah Park, who told me that every time he entered a hospital room, he silently prayed, "Let my energy heal before my hands do." He didn't always understand it, but patience would calm the moment he entered. He later realized that prayer aligned his inner field to love, which retuned the energy of pain around him. His story reminds us that light doesn't have to speak, it simply vibrates, and wherever it does, darkness recalibrates. Music, too, teaches this truth. In Bach's Mass, in B minor, every note feels like a dialogue between heaven and earth. The harmonic intervals are not random, they are frequencies mathematically aligned with divine ratios found in nature, what ancient theologians called the music of the spheres. When you listen to such compositions and feel peace flood your body, that's not nostalgia, it's resonance. You're feeling God's geometry vibrating within you. In Him, all things hold together. Colossians 1:17. Yet, beware of the counterfeit frequencies, the manipulative voices that mimic light but distort harmony. Like Lucifer, who once was heaven's musician but turned melody into manipulation, Isaiah 14:11-12, not every vibration is holy. This is where your gift of spiritual discernment becomes your sword. Some sounds may please the ears, but poison the soul. Some conversations sparkle, but corrode your peace. The chosen one learns to distinguish light's resonance from noise's seduction. The lesson is both scientific and sacred. Your body is an instrument, your emotions are its strings, and your spirit is the musician. When tuned by prayer, gratitude, and love, you vibrate in harmony with heaven itself. When surrounded by chaos, you must retune. Silence is not isolation, it's recalibration. You are not fragile for needing space. You are holy for knowing your limits. Guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Proverbs 4:23. So next time you sense energy others don't honor it, that's the whisper of the Holy Spirit guiding you. Feel it, but don't fear it. Learn to bless every vibration with light, because your sensitivity isn't a flaw, it's a divine gift designed to reveal truth in disguise. You were never meant to move blindly through the world. You were meant to tune it. And if this resonates with you, pause and reflect. How many times has your intuition saved you from what looked good but felt wrong? How often has your peace returned the moment you walked away from confusion? That's not luck, that's divine intelligence moving through you. Share your story, because every chosen one who speaks truth helps another awaken their own frequency of light. For you, the one chosen by heaven, the ache of not belonging is not a curse, it's your calling. You walk among the crowd, yet move to a rhythm the world cannot hear. You smile in rooms that feel foreign to your soul, speak words that fall like seeds on concrete, and wonder why comfort never lingers long. This quiet displacement is not rejection, it is divine redirection. They admitted that they were foreigners and strangers on earth, for they were longing for a better country, a heavenly one. Hebrews 11:13-16. You were never designed to fit into the noise of this world, because your spirit remembers a different frequency, the vibration of eternity. From an early age, you probably sensed it. While others found home in the crowd, you sought meaning in solitude. You noticed patterns others missed, felt emotions others ignored. Your supernatural perception became both your light and your weight. In school, you may have questioned the system that valued conformity over truth. Among friends, you sensed false laughter disguised as joy. Among family, you felt the silence between words more than the words themselves. This isn't loneliness, it's divine calibration. Your soul was tuned for heaven's symphony, and earth's static will never feel like music. Like Abraham leaving his homeland in obedience to God's voice, Genesis 12:1, you too have been called to walk unfamiliar paths. Every detour, every rejection, every moment that left you feeling too different was a sacred initiation. Have you noticed how, just when you tried to blend in, life shook you out again? Relationships ending, jobs collapsing, friendships fading without warning. That's not failure, that's divine protection. The same fire that refines gold burns away imitation. For our citizenship is in heaven. Philippians 3:20. You are a traveler, not a tenant. Yet, the chosen ones wrestle deeply with this truth. Why do I feel alien in my own home? Why does peace visit briefly and then vanish? Why do I crave something I can't name? These are not weaknesses, but echoes of your origin. The soul knows it came from light and grieves every time darkness tries to disguise itself as belonging. The saints before you felt the same ache. Street. Teresa of Avila once wrote, "The world is thy ship, not thy home." Her words carry the essence of your journey. Earth is a passage, not a destination. But that sensitivity can wound. You see injustice and feel it like fire in your bones. You sense falsehood and it tastes bitter on your tongue. The crowd celebrates what breaks your heart. There's a psychological term for this: cognitive dissonance, but spiritually it's vibrational dissonance. Your frequency rejects deception. Like an eagle soaring above storms, you were made for altitude, not comfort. The lower the vibration, the heavier it feels to breathe. You may question your worth in those moments, but heaven smiles, because dissonance is proof of discernment. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Matthew 5-6. Sometimes your difference provokes resistance. The world has always been uneasy with those who carry light. Remember Joseph, his dreams made his brothers despise him. Genesis 37-19-20. His purity exposed their envy, and they cast him into a pit. Yet what they buried, God resurrected. What feels like exile in your life is often elevation in disguise. The divine equation is simple. Rejection precedes revelation. Those who push you away are unknowingly positioning you for greater purpose. Nature, too, whispers this truth. The salmon swims upstream, defying the current to reach the source of its birth. The sunflower turns away from shadow to chase the sun. The eagle abandons the flock to rise where thinner air sustains only the strong. You too are drawn toward the rare air of divine presence. The discomfort you feel among worldly noise isn't a flaw, it's a compass guiding you home. Yet, not all who resist the divine path find their way back. Take King Saul, for example. Once chosen, he clung too tightly to the people's approval instead of God's instruction. 1 Samuel 15:24-28. His downfall came not from weakness, but from attachment to belonging. When you compromise your essence for acceptance, you trade heaven's anointing for human applause. The chosen cannot afford that exchange. Your peace costs too much to be sold for validation. There was once a sculptor named Émile Rousseau from Lyon, a man who refused to mass-produce his art for galleries. "I carve only when silence speaks," he said. His peers mocked him, calling him slow, outdated. Years later, his single sculpture, The Breath of Gabriel, stood in a cathedral, drawing thousands into silent prayer. His story mirrors yours. Those who move with divine timing may walk alone for a while, but they leave eternal imprints. The world, in its hunger for noise, calls silence emptiness. But for you, silence is revelation. When you retreat from meaningless chatter, you're not isolating, you're ascending. When you say no to shallow belonging, you're saying yes to divine alignment. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12:2. You were chosen not to fit in, but to awaken others. Here lies the paradox. The more you align with heaven, the less you belong on earth. Yet that's where your true ministry begins. Every time you stand apart in integrity, you become a mirror reflecting God's standard. Every time you choose peace over popularity, the world remembers what light feels like. And while the unawakened may call you strange, heaven calls you necessary. The lesson is both painful and magnificent. Belonging here was never the goal. Becoming a bridge between heaven and earth is. When you finally stop searching for home outside yourself, you'll realize it was never lost. It's been beating within you all along. You carry fragments of eternity in your chest, and that's why temporal things will never satisfy you. So if you feel out of place, misunderstood, or misaligned, take heart. You are not broken, you are becoming. You are not misplaced, you are being positioned. And when you walk through the world carrying that quiet ache, remember, every holy misfit is heaven's reminder that the world can still be healed. Every chosen soul carries within them a blueprint of heaven, and that's why you feel the invisible architecture of every place you enter. While others notice walls, colors, or furniture, you notice vibration, symmetry, and silence. You can walk into a cathedral, an office, or even a friend's living room and instantly sense whether the air welcomes or resists your spirit. This isn't imagination, it's supernatural perception, a sacred compass built into your being. Surely the Lord is in this place and I did not know it. Genesis 28:16. Some places hum with divine harmony, while others echo with spiritual static, and your soul, attuned like a finely crafted instrument, instantly detects the difference. Every structure, whether made of stone or emotion, carries its own frequency. Science calls it resonant energy, theology calls it anointing, and you, God's chosen, call it presence. The ancients understood this deeply. That's why Solomon built the temple according to heavenly geometry. 1 Kings 6:19-22. He didn't just design walls, he designed energy flow, a physical reflection of divine order. In modern terms, his architecture mirrored sacred symmetry, a concept now found in quantum physics and sacred acoustics. When alignment is pure, peace flows naturally. When geometry is corrupted, chaos fills the air. Haven't you ever entered a room that looked beautiful, but somehow drained your spirit? It's not decoration, it's vibration. Places remember. Every emotion, prayer, argument, or act of love leaves a residue in the spiritual field of that space. This is what mystics call energetic memory. The stones will cry out, Luke 19:40. That isn't poetry, it's physics of the divine. When you step into a home filled with gratitude, you feel lifted. When you step into a place marked by envy or grief, your body tenses without reason. You carry a divine gift that reads those hidden signatures, decoding the invisible architecture of emotion. You may wonder why you feel uneasy in certain modern spaces: skyscrapers built without light, offices that hum with anxiety, malls where artificial brightness masks spiritual emptiness. It's because those environments were designed without sacred proportion. Architects of heaven know that light, sound, and geometry are spiritual languages. In contrast, spaces built purely for profit echo dissonance. You're not weak for feeling drained, you're awake. Like Moses, whose face shone after encountering divine presence, Exodus 34-29, your energy reacts to the architecture of truth and falsehood alike. There's a quiet experiment from an architect named Elias Navarro in Barcelona, a man who described his work as translating prayer into walls. He once built a small chapel with curved ceilings, tuned to the natural frequency of 432 hertzes, the vibration believed to align with the heartbeat of the earth. Visitors reported inexplicable peace, tears without reason, and one woman said, "It feels like the air forgives me." That's what sacred design does. It restores the human field to divine alignment. The opposite is also true. When you walk into places birthed from greed or deception, temples without spirit, corporations without compassion, your frequency clashes. Like an out-of-tune instrument, your body vibrates in discomfort. Have you ever felt your chest tighten, your breath shorten, or your thoughts cloud the moment you entered a certain place? That's not coincidence, it's spiritual physics. Energy either amplifies or cancels itself, depending on harmony. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. Matthew 6:21. When a space is built around darkness, the heart feels trapped. This truth isn't limited to buildings, it applies to environments of emotion too. Toxic relationships, cynical workplaces, or empty celebrations are also architectures of energy. They shape invisible walls that imprison joy. King Nebuchadnezzar built his empire on pride, Daniel 4:30-33, and its collapse began not with war, but with spiritual dissonance. His palace was magnificent in sight, yet hollow in vibration. Pride distorts energy the way rust corrodes gold. The chosen must learn from that. No beauty compensates for absence of light. Nature reveals the antidote. The forest doesn't strain to align, it simply vibrates in harmony. Trees absorb sunlight, rivers hum with mathematical rhythm, and the wind whispers frequencies of balance. When you sit beneath an old oak or by a quiet lake, you don't escape reality. You return to divine architecture. It's why Jesus often prayed on mountaintops rather than temples, Luke 6:12. Creation itself was his cathedral. In that silence, the architecture of the soul aligns with heaven's blueprint. But this discernment is both a gift and a task. To feel the weight of energy is to carry responsibility. You can't remain long in false spaces without your light dimming. Yet the solution isn't withdrawal, it's transformation. You, chosen one, are not just an observer of energy, you are an architect of it. Through prayer, gratitude, and truth, you reshape spiritual geometry wherever you stand. When you bless a room, you retune it. When you forgive within walls built from anger, you rewrite their vibration. When you sing or pray sincerely, your voice becomes acoustic light. A single candle redefines a dark cathedral. Likewise, one aligned soul can sanctify a city. You carry within you the blueprint to rebuild what's broken, not with hammers, but with harmony. You are the temple of the Holy Spirit, 1 Corinthians 6:19. That means wherever you go becomes holy ground when your spirit stays in tune. Yet one question remains for every chosen soul. Are you shaping your surroundings, or are they shaping you? Each moment invites you to design through thought, word, and presence the architecture of your reality. Every choice constructs a wall or opens a window. Will your life echo heaven's design or mirror earth's noise? The lesson is eternal. Places don't define you. You define them through your resonance. When you understand this, every room becomes a sanctuary, every silence a cathedral, and every breath a brick in heaven's unseen city. Share your story. Where have you felt drained, and where have you felt alive? In your answer lies the map of your divine geometry. For you, the one chosen to carry light in a world addicted to noise, walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom in motion. Every time you step back from what no longer resonates with your divine frequency, you're not retreating, you're engaging in spiritual warfare of the highest order. Because true battles are not fought with swords or words, but with silence, discernment, and sacred restraint. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. Your stillness is not inaction, it's alignment. Your withdrawal from chaos is not avoidance, it's elevation. In psychology, avoidance is often seen as a coping mechanism, but in divine psychology, it's strategy, an act of spiritual intelligence. You, chosen one, are not avoiding people or places. You're avoiding frequencies that distort your divine gift. When your supernatural perception senses manipulation disguised as kindness or energy wrapped in guilt and control, your instinct to step away is protection, not pride. Do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good character. 1 Corinthians 15:33. Your soul knows what your logic may take time to admit. Have you ever noticed that after walking away from certain conversations, your mind clears, your chest lightens, and your peace quietly returns? That isn't coincidence, it's divine calibration. The human spirit operates like a spiritual nervous system, reacting instantly to energetic overload. What therapists call emotional boundaries, heaven calls sacred gates. And every time you close one, you preserve your inner sanctuary. But that discipline can feel brutal, especially when walking away means leaving behind people you once prayed for. Do not cast your pearls before swine, Matthew 7:6. That verse is not condemnation, it's instruction for guardians of light. This world often glorifies confrontation, labeling silence as weakness, yet Christ himself withdrew from the crowds, not out of fear, but focus. After performing miracles, he often went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Matthew 14:23. That solitude wasn't escape, it was restoration. You are built the same way. The more divine power you carry, the more solitude you require to sustain it. Imagine a lighthouse. It doesn't chase ships. It stands firm, and its stillness becomes salvation. There's a woman I once met, Mira Jensen, a trauma counselor from Copenhagen, who said something unforgettable. Some of my hardest battles were fought in quiet exits. She spoke of leaving a toxic workplace where she was praised publicly but drained spiritually. She said, "The day I walked away without explanation, I felt the ground bless my feet." That's the secret of divine avoidance. It's not rebellion, it's reverence for your assignment. When peace leaves, God has already packed his presence. In the unseen world, withdrawal can shake the realm of darkness more than confrontation ever could. When you stop feeding dysfunction with attention, it starves. When you refuse to participate in emotional games, manipulation loses its grip. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. James 4:7. Resistance doesn't always roar. It sometimes walks away quietly. The spiritual realm interprets your distance as defiance against decay. But the chosen often wrestle with guilt in this process. You ask, what if my leaving hurts someone? What if silence is misinterpreted? What if love requires me to stay? Those questions reveal your compassion, but love without discernment becomes self-destruction. Christ loved the Pharisees, yet he didn't remain in their presence. When he said, "My hour has not yet come," John 2-4, he taught that divine timing is higher than emotional obligation. Your empathy must serve truth, not attachment. Nature, too, mirrors this wisdom. The serpent sheds its skin not out of hate for the old, but because staying would suffocate growth. The tree releases dead leaves not in cruelty, but in preparation for spring. Rivers change course when blocked, finding new paths instead of waging war against the stone. Likewise, your walkaway moments are heaven's way of pruning what cannot go where you're growing. Every branch that bears fruit he prunes, that it may bear more fruit. John 15:2. But beware of the counterfeit narrative, the idea that endurance equals holiness. Some stay in toxic spaces, thinking God rewards suffering, yet endurance without discernment isn't faith, it's captivity. Even Jesus, who carried the cross, didn't stay on it forever. He endured for purpose, not permanence. Once resurrection came, he moved forward. The chosen must learn this rhythm: crucifixion, resurrection, ascension. Walking away can be your resurrection moment. In scientific language, this process mirrors energy transference. When two frequencies meet, the stronger transforms or repels the weaker. Your spirit functions the same way. When you align with divine truth, anything false must either transform or retreat. You are the stronger frequency. But the humility of light is that it never argues with darkness, it simply shines and leaves when ignored. Your calling, therefore, is not to convince, but to conserve. You are heaven's vessel, and every step away from what drains you is a march toward divine order. Silence is not retreat, it's the architecture of strength. Solitude is not loneliness, it's spiritual recalibration. And walking away doesn't mean you've lost it, means you've refused to lose yourself. There's a verse that summarizes this sacred paradox. And he, shaking off the dust from his feet, departed from that place. Acts 13:51. To shake off dust is not disdain, it's detachment from energy that cannot evolve. You, too, must learn this divine art. Some battles are won not by staying and fighting, but by blessing and leaving. So when your spirit whispers, "Leave," trust it. That's not avoidance, it's assignment. That's not fear, it's faith. Every step away from what drains you is a step closer to what refines you. And in that silent movement, you declare to the unseen realm, "My peace is sacred, my energy is holy, and my silence is war." For you, the one chosen to carry light in a world addicted to noise, walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom in motion. Every time you step back from what no longer resonates with your divine frequency, you're not retreating, you're engaging in spiritual warfare of the highest order. Because true battles are not fought with swords or words, but with silence, discernment, and sacred restraint. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. Your stillness is not inaction, it's alignment. Your withdrawal from chaos is not avoidance, it's elevation. In psychology, avoidance is often seen as a coping mechanism, but in divine psychology, it's strategy, an act of spiritual intelligence. You, chosen one, are not avoiding people or places. You're avoiding frequencies that distort your divine gift. When your supernatural perception senses manipulation disguised as kindness or energy wrapped in guilt and control, your instinct to step away is protection, not pride. Do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good character. 1 Corinthians 15:33. Your soul knows what your logic may take time to admit. Have you ever noticed that after walking away from certain conversations, your mind clears, your chest lightens, and your peace quietly returns? That isn't coincidence. It's divine calibration. The human spirit operates like a spiritual nervous system, reacting instantly to energetic overload, what therapists call emotional boundaries, heaven calls sacred gates. And every time you close one, you preserve your inner sanctuary. But that discipline can feel brutal, especially when walking away means leaving behind people you once prayed for. Do not cast your pearls before swine, Matthew 7-6. That verse is not condemnation, it's instruction for guardians of light. This world often glorifies confrontation, labeling silence as weakness. Yet Christ himself withdrew from the crowds, not out of fear, but focus. After performing miracles, he often went up on a mountainside by himself to pray. Matthew 14:23. That solitude wasn't escape, it was restoration. You are built the same way. The more divine power you carry, the more solitude you require to sustain it. Imagine a lighthouse. It doesn't chase ships, it stands firm, and its stillness becomes salvation. There's a woman I once met, Mira Jensen, a trauma counselor from Copenhagen, who said something unforgettable. Some of my hardest battles were fought in quiet exits. She spoke of leaving a toxic workplace where she was praised publicly but drained spiritually. She said, "The day I walked away without explanation, I felt the ground bless my feet." That's the secret of divine avoidance. It's not rebellion, it's reverence for your assignment. When peace leaves, God has already packed his presence. In the unseen world, withdrawal can shake the realm of darkness more than confrontation ever could. When you stop feeding dysfunction with attention, it starves. When you refuse to participate in emotional games, manipulation loses its grip. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. James 4-7. Resistance doesn't always roar, it sometimes walks away quietly. The spiritual realm interprets your distance as defiance against decay. But the chosen often wrestle with guilt in this process. You ask, what if my leaving hurts someone? What if silence is misinterpreted? What if love requires me to stay? Those questions reveal your compassion, but love without discernment becomes self-destruction. Christ loved the Pharisees, yet he didn't remain in their presence. When he said, "My hour has not yet come," John 2-4, he taught that divine timing is higher than emotional obligation. Your empathy must serve truth, not attachment. Nature, too, mirrors this wisdom. The serpent sheds its skin, not out of hate for the old, but because staying would suffocate growth. The tree releases dead leaves, not in cruelty, but in preparation for spring. Rivers change course when blocked, finding new paths instead of waging war against the stone. Likewise, your walk-away moments are heaven's way of pruning what cannot go where you're growing. Every branch that bears fruit, he prunes. that it may bear more fruit. John 15:2. But beware of the counterfeit narrative, the idea that endurance equals holiness. Some stay in toxic spaces thinking God rewards suffering, yet endurance without discernment isn't faith, it's captivity. Even Jesus, who carried the cross, didn't stay on it forever. He endured for purpose, not permanence. Once resurrection came, he moved forward. The chosen must learn this rhythm: crucifixion, resurrection, ascension. Walking away can be your resurrection moment. In scientific language, this process mirrors energy transference. When two frequencies meet, the stronger transforms or repels the weaker. Your spirit functions the same way. When you align with divine truth, anything false must either transform or retreat. You are the stronger frequency. But the humility of light is that it never argues with darkness. It simply shines and leaves when ignored. Your calling, therefore, is not to convince, but to conserve. You are heaven's vessel, and every step away from what drains you is a march toward divine order. Silence is not retreat, it's the architecture of strength. Solitude is not loneliness, it's spiritual recalibration. And walking away doesn't mean you've lost it, means you've refused to lose yourself. There's a verse that summarizes this sacred paradox. And he, shaking off the dust from his feet, departed from that place. Acts 13:51. To shake off dust is not disdain, it's detachment from energy that cannot evolve. You, too, must learn this divine art. Some battles are won not by staying and fighting, but by blessing and leaving. So, when your spirit whispers, leave, trust it. That's not avoidance, it's assignment. That's not fear, it's faith. Every step away from what drains you is a step closer to what refines you. And in that silent movement, you declare to the unseen realm, my peace is sacred, my energy is holy, and my silence is war. Every chosen one is a living frequency of heaven, and this message, this entire journey, has been a reminder of that sacred truth. You are not here by accident. The fact that your soul resonated with these words means that something ancient within you has awakened. Across every chapter, from the sacred discomforts of certain places, to the divine psychology of walking away, to the architecture of light that you carry, one truth stands firm. Your sensitivity is not weakness, it is your assignment. The world may not understand it, but heaven does. The chosen walk differently because they feel differently. You don't just see life, you sense it. You perceive energy where others only see events. You notice shifts in tone, silence between words, tension behind smiles. And while this awareness can be heavy at times, it's also your divine compass, guiding you back to the Creator's rhythm. You were never meant to blend into the noise. You were born to bring balance to it. You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its flavor, how shall it be seasoned? Matthew 5:13. If you've ever wondered why peace feels more valuable to you than success, or why your spirit aches in places others seem comfortable, it's because you are tuned differently. You are built to carry heaven's resonance into places that have forgotten what harmony feels like. When others rush to fit in, your soul quietly whispers, I was made for something higher. That whisper is the echo of divine architecture, the blueprint of light placed within you before birth. And maybe, throughout this message, you've recognized moments in your own life, times when you walked away from chaos without knowing why, when you protected your peace without needing approval, when your presence calmed storms that words could not. Those weren't random acts, they were glimpses of your purpose unfolding. The divine doesn't shout, it vibrates softly, steadily, through every action of a conscious soul. Before we close, I want to honor you, every single one of you, watching, listening, and feeling these words. Whether you're here for the first time or have been part of this growing circle of light, thank you. Thank you for your comments, your stories, your prayers, and your support, whether it's through a simple like, a shared post, or a super thanks that helps this message reach more hearts. But most of all, thank you for showing up as you. If this message touched something deep in you, I invite you to stay connected like this video, share it with someone whose spirit might need it, and subscribe to this channel for more content made for souls like yours, souls who seek truth, not noise, light, not illusion. And if this resonated deeply, drop a 777 in the comments, not as superstition, but as a sign that you're aligned, that you're awake, that you're ready for what heaven is building through you. In a world obsessed with speed and spectacle, you are a quiet revolution. You don't need to prove your worth. Your presence already shifts atmospheres. When you walk into a room, heaven walks with you. When you speak in truth, frequencies realign. And when you choose peace over reaction, you wage spiritual warfare with grace. That is the legacy of the chosen, to heal not by force, but by frequency. So as you leave this message, carry this blessing with you. May your energy remain clear, your path remain sacred, and your light remain unshaken. May every space you enter recognize your divine vibration and align with it. May angels surround your steps and peace crown your days. And may you remember, always the world doesn't need you to be louder. It needs you to be luminous. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being light. Until next time, stay grounded, stay radiant, and stay divine.